Hi everyone. So some of you may not know, an end grain butt joint in woodworking is inherently weak. Now, it doesn't matter if you've got one end grain that you're butting up to a side grain, a face grain, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you've got two end grains and you're putting them together on a miter joint for a piece of trim or a picture frame, doesn't matter. As long as you've got end grain on your wood butting up to anything, it's going to be glue starved. Now why is that? It has to do with the way the tree was formed. And what I mean by that is if you take a piece of wood and you stand it up exactly as it was when it was still growing in the tree, you have solid wood fiber, solid wood fiber, solid wood fiber. These are all edge grains. Doesn't matter what you call them, edge grain, face grain. These are all the grain of the wood. The end grain, however, is a different matter. The end grain, if you think about the way the tree is growing vertical like this, you've got your roots at the bottom, you've got your tree at the top, and inside of the tree is a whole bunch of little tubes, and that funnels moisture and nutrients and everything all the way up to the leaves and all the way back down to the roots, and so on and so forth. Think of basically an end grain like a whole bunch of straws. It's nothing but tubes designed to funnel nutrients up and down, and the problem with that is when you put glue on the end grain, these little tubes in here, the straws, are basically they're gonna suck up all that glue, and the problem is that's what starves your joint. Now how do you fix it? You do a glue sizing. Kind of a dumb name, I know, but it helps. Is it gonna make it as strong as an edge-to-edge joint? No. But is it seriously gonna help an end grain joint? Absolutely. So there's two ways you can do it. Now the first and technically textbook way to do a sizing, I've got just a tiny bit of water here because I'm only doing a demonstration, but I basically take some water and equal parts wood glue, so about a 50-50 mix, and you mix it up with a little artist brush here, a little paint brush. It's nothing more than just a typical little craft brush. And that is what's going to make our sizing. Now this thin glue is what we're going to use to apply to our end grain wood joint. Now what that's going to do is basically create a sealer, and it's going to seal up all those tubes, so when we put glue on the joint, it doesn't starve it, the glue actually stays on top of the joint. So I've got my sizing made up. Go ahead and just apply it to our end grain joint here. Now you're going to apply this fairly liberally. You don't want it running down the entire piece like I've got it here, but apply the sizing to the joint, and we're going to let this sit and dry for about a minute, no longer than 2 minutes. Now after a minute, you can see our sizing is completely dried. Looks just like the rest of the wood. Now we can go ahead and apply our glue as normal, and then fasten it however you want. Now one thing to keep in mind too is on these dual end grain joints, you have to make sure to put a sizing on both pieces, otherwise you're going to end up with the same problem with a glue starved joint. Now the way I like to do a sizing, just for speed and simplicity's sake, and because I don't like having water and a paintbrush around all the time, I like to just take my glue, apply a fairly good coat to the joint, and then just take and smash it in there with my finger, thumb, whatever, doesn't matter, but just cover all the fibers of the grain, covering it, and like I said, just mash it in there, clean off the edges. I'm just going to let this sit for, like I said, about 30 seconds to a minute. Do the other one. And the best part about doing it this way, getting it all over your finger, you can just smash it around on your hand, and it comes right off. If not, you can wait and let it dry, make a second layer of skin, and peel it off just like you're in elementary school. Don't tell me you didn't do that when you were a kid with white glue. So our minute's up, our joint is good and dry. Now we can go ahead and apply the final layer of our wood glue that will actually be the support for our joint. And that is it. That is how you do a glue sizing on an end grain butt joint woodworking. So if you guys are building anything in the future, make sure to go ahead and size all of your end grain joints and you're going to be better for it. So I hope you guys liked the video. If you do, thumbs up. Do all the things down below. I'd appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.